Thank you, John. Our next reader is Michael Pfister. I've known Michael for a long time. He's probably regretting that these days, but I'm happy that we've known each other for such a long time. He regrets that this is his last full semester at Rosemont College in the MFA program. That's good.
Unless you do the publishing thing.
Yeah, all right, good. He has been featured in The Jump, or the Journal of Undergraduate Media Projects from UT Austin, and the Philly Flash Inferno Journal, maintained by fellow student Kat Colburn. Michael enjoys tabletop gaming, bass guitar, and fly fishing. Michael.
Should not have said that.
No.
Mistake. Hi, I'm Michael. I like to write scary stories. This one some of you have heard before, but I kind of want to try it with a bigger audience. This is called Lights. Sky Harbor Air Traffic Controller Rich Smith first saw the lights while he was thinking about his estranged son Brad. It all came down to a fight he couldn't remember because it had been so many years. Boundaries, borders, ignored phone calls. But through the grapevine, Rich heard that Brad had settled down and married a Jewish girl named Maria and that there were children. He also heard that Brad was going to medical school. This rumor made Rich proud and ashamed. Proud that his son succeeded in life and ashamed that he succeeded without the need of his father. As he turned this over in his mind, his radar screen lit up with 5 blips coming in from Nevada. "It's negative," said Maria, standing in the threshold of the bathroom. Brad nodded and embraced his wife. "It's okay. We'll try again." Maria rested her head against her husband's chest, breathing in the scent of dryer sheets and talcum powder. "I'm so sorry." Brad smiled and kissed his wife on the cheek. "Your body is a temple. My temple. Please don't be sad. There are other options. We can call Michael when he gets back." Maria sighed and moved to the window. "I love you." Brad joined Maria and they looked out at the starry Arizona evening. 5 lights in a V-shaped formation floated through the sky. "Look at that," said Brad. "Just look." Michael tied his shoes in the middle of the desert. This was his sabbatical from the office. He liked to travel alone because he didn't like other people. So while he tied his shoes, Michael was by himself. He knew it was time to pitch the tent and start a fire, but he wanted to keep walking. Shoes tied, Michael stood up and adjusted his pack. Overhead, the lights drifted over him in silence, and Michael felt very small. He decided to end this journey early and head back to Phoenix, where he would call Jane. "The whole switchboard is on fire," shouted Krieger to Jane. "They're all talking about the lights. The city's gone mad." Jane finished buttoning her suit and checked her earpiece. "How long until we're on?" 1 minute. Jane flipped through the faxes. "And this is all of it?" "Fresh from Sky Harbor." Jane shook her head. "My career is on the line. This is bullshit." "Tell that to the network when you make Fox News. This is your chance. Get on the floor and talk." Krieger was an ugly man with his yellow teeth and tacky piano ties, but for 1 second Jane was in love with him. Betty Krieger was finishing a pint of chocolate ice cream and settling into her TV chair, as usual. She watched the Phoenix local report every night because her husband was a producer. It was a part of her routine, etched in stone. Usually, by the time Joe got home, Betty was asleep. It had been a long time since they had sex. Betty suspected that Joe would masturbate in the bathroom at night, but it didn't bother her. What bothered her was Jane Saunders, a much younger and prettier woman than Betty, and also the star of Phoenix local report. She was jealous that Jane spent much more time with Joe than she did. But that night, through the lens of the 26-inch Sony television set, Jane was shining with sweat and rustling through papers. Betty leaned forward and licked her spoon. "We're receiving reports from multiple witnesses," said Jane. "There's something in the sky tonight. Lights hovering above the city. Military officials have offered no explanation thus far." General Albert Walsh scratched what was left of his hair and picked up the receiver. "Walsh. Yeah, this is Richard Smith, Air Traffic Controller, Sky Harbor. What they're saying is true." Walsh threw his Xanax down his throat and chased it with bourbon. Jesus Christ. Now they all know. "Look out. I don't know what this is all about. But a lot of people down here are scared and need some kind of explanation. To be honest, I'm a little concerned myself. Walsh switched the conversation to speakerphone and leaned back in his chair. We'll do what we always do. We'll call it flares. Tests from the Luke base. We'll make someone dress up as a little gray alien at the press conference. This conversation is over, said Smith. I need to call my son. Smith terminated the phone call. That night, General Albert Walsh walked outside and looked at the stars for the first time in years. Coyote watched the lights pass over the border into Mexico. Coyote didn't care about borders. The next one is a little bit more grounded in folklore, although the last one was about the Phoenix Lights, because something actually happened in like 94, 96, something like that. It's interesting, you should YouTube it. This one is about an urban legend that a lot of people don't know about, but it's kind of cool. It's called Hunger. It's unclear when the Wendigo first began haunting the woods of northern Minnesota. Some believe that Native Americans were the source of the legend, while others think the Wendigo was a product solely of Algernon Blackwood, a writer. In any case, eyewitness accounts of this creature persist through this day, especially among those who are lost and do find their way home. It's been days, said Bob through the scarf masking his face. We have to do it. Jack shifted in the snow and rubbed his gloves together. I know. The hikers in their St. Bernard Hagrid had long since abandoned their gear out of exhaustion. If Bob had brought the gun, things might not have been so bleak, but still, the forest was a dead place, and the only creature spotted since their trek turned dire was a rabbit that Hagrid failed to catch. I'll do it, said Jack. I loved him more than you did. The Wendigo is a figure that appears in many mediums today, including video games, fiction, poetry, comic books, and very bad films. While the contemporary Wendigo is often depicted as a Yeti-like caricature, older myths describe the Wendigo as something much more sinister. Emaciated and rotting, the Wendigo is very much like a modern-day Romero zombie. And these two supernatural characters share more in common than just aesthetics. They used a hide as an additional layer for warmth and a blanket for the freezing nights. The meat lasted a few days, but the cold and lack of fire rendered it useless. Still clinging to hope, they pressed further south, hoping to find any trace of civilization. Some nights, Jack heard a howling sound, and Bob told him to be quiet. While skeptics may scoff at the idea of a supernatural flesh-eating monster lurking in the cold woods of North America, a plausible explanation for the monster's existence is evident in the folklore itself. The Wendigo is a human so hideously divorced from its civility that it mutates into a monster. A Wendigo is an exaggerated cannibal. All one needs to do is eat human flesh. Bob leapt up when the bang penetrated through the dead trees, but Jack didn't stir. Heavy footfalls crusted the snow near the dog-hide camp, and Bob rose, grabbing one of the makeshift spears, as the smell of something like rotting fish turned his stomach. Illuminated under the pale moonlight, a gaunt creature stood in the tree line. It held the corpse of a rabbit in one of its skeletal hands. Its face was pulled back, exposing teeth and gums and wide, yellow eyes. Its abdominal cavity was empty, only crooked vertebrae supported its torso. As the creature took a bite from the rabbit and swallowed, bits of meat fell from its chest cavity and littered the snowy carpet. The members of some Great Lakes tribes executed people they believed to be turning into Wendigo. The lust for human flesh was often used to diagnose the beginning of the mutation, but some Wendigo escaped into the woods, preying on lost explorers to satisfy their needs. The beast stood there waiting. Bob nodded to the creature and understood its pain. The ability to never have a meal with no stomach to digest, its insatiable hunger, the vacant stare in its yellow eyes. So Bob lashed Jack in the neck. Jack's only reaction was a yelp followed by a gurgle, and then he was still. When Bob looked back to the Wendigo, there was nothing there, but the smell of death remained. And the last thing is called Step. It's a little bit of anything. You promised to be there at the end. Because, hey, why not anyway? You stole it all when you walked out the door and took it with you. When you stole the coffee stains off the table, the little crumbs from the counter, the hopping dust bunnies from beneath our bed. When you stole the bottle caps from the trash can and the receipts that promised not to toss. When you stole the little things unique to us, the things that made us, And now you are a sleeping projectionist while our movie begins to skip frames and I'm yelling, I'm pleading, I'm crying at you to change reels because I'm losing the images, the pictures of us, and it's all blacking out like the nights that evaporate before I am on the floor with the day going strong and 1,000 missed calls from work. You were my loyal bartender, always there to tell me when I've had enough, taking the glass away, calling the cab my guide, my teacher. You were the dog of reality nipping at my heels. But I, the fool, stepping off a cliff, I being dragged back by some little bitch, and now you are gone. She is gone. You are gone. Turtles all the way down. Thank you guys.